Picture this: a helicopter hovering over South Africa's Blyde River Canyon, not for a rescue mission, but searching for a gecko that everyone thought had vanished for good. What did they end up finding?
By the way, today's date is 2025-05-30. So, a species presumed extinct for over 30 years suddenly reappears. How does something like that even happen?
The Blyde River flat gecko hadn't been seen in 33 years. Researchers faced some real obstacles. First, the canyon is incredibly remote and risky to access. Then, there were bureaucratic hurdles. They waited 2 years just to get the permits.
But they didn't just stop there, did they? How did they finally manage to get in?
They teamed up with the Endangered Wildlife Trust, mapped out every detail, and used helicopters to reach the right spot. Once they landed, they had just 3 days, but within that short window, they found between 20 and 30 geckos.
That's a big shift. But stepping back, why does finding a handful of geckos even matter on a global level?
Rediscovering them shows that focused, persistent conservation pays off. More than that, it gives us a second chance to protect a species and to understand its role in the ecosystem.
It's not really just about one animal, though, is it? England's making moves too, right?
Right. England has started designating major new national nature reserves. Take Borrowdale in the Lake District. It's now a protected temperate rainforest. This is part of a plan to create or expand 25 reserves by 2027.
What sets these reserves apart from more traditional parks?
The focus is on ecological connectivity, linking habitats so species can move and adapt. It's not just about fencing off land, but restoring it and involving local communities and groups like the National Trust.
So these reserves are both wildlife havens and places for people. Does this strategy help with climate issues too?
Absolutely. When landscapes are connected and restored, they're more resilient to climate change. And when communities are involved, people see benefits directly, whether that's well-being or economic opportunities.
Looking at the bigger picture, how do these local efforts tie in with international action?
There's a global push right now for better biodiversity funding. Frameworks like Kunming Montreal are trying to direct more resources, especially toward developing countries, and to make sure benefits are shared fairly.
Funding always seems like the sticking point. How do these frameworks actually try to address that?
They're prioritizing projects that deliver both social and ecological outcomes. The argument is that conservation isn't just about nature on its own. It's tied to food, climate, and public health.
For listeners wondering what's really working here, what can we take away?
First, persistence and working together can bring back species we've lost hope for. Second, large, connected reserves support both nature and people. And third, global cooperation and funding are finally starting to match the scale of the challenge.
And the big question, can these successes actually be repeated elsewhere?
With the right partnerships, adequate funding, and local involvement, they can. But it takes real commitment.
Which brings us back to that helicopter over the canyon, people going all out for just one species. So what's next?
Thanks for joining us as we followed the story of a gecko's comeback and looked at new ways to restore nature.
These stories remind us that nature isn't just slipping away. It's pushing back, especially when people get involved.
Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. You can try it now for free.